for tuning in. It's really nice of you to join me. I hope you've had a splendid Easter. And I thank you for welcoming me and my guests into your home to entertain you for the next hour. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. But before we get started, I just want to say a few things. So first off, right off the bat, know that you can donate to us tonight. This is an aid to help all my guests that I have on. So, for example, tonight I have Melt Sieberhagen, and any donations given tonight, 75% will go to him, 25% will go to me of the proceeds. So I will leave a link in the description or in the comment section and on Facebook just now, but you can find the link in the description below and you can immediately start donating if you wish to. The other thing is, for those of you that are watching on Instagram Live, you are not going to be able to watch this for very long. I only give about 5 to 10 minutes of the interview on Instagram Live, and then you got to join us on YouTube or Facebook, because it's a lot better on YouTube and Facebook. I mean, Instagram, you've got this little space, this portrait. It's just not fun. YouTube is like nice and space, and I can bring up things on the screen. You're gonna have fun. All right, just come over to YouTube or Facebook. Catch me here with my guest, the very talented, the phenomenal, and a very good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's welcome him with a thunderous round of applause, even though we're not going to hear it. Please welcome Melt Sieberhagen.
Hello there.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm hearing the applause of the entire Sea Point going crazy for all the healthcare workers. So I'll just for tonight, I'll imagine that's my applause for being on your show.
Perfect timing. Yeah, and how have you been during this lockdown?
I've been okay. Like I think every day for most people is quite a range of emotions. It's like you wake up and it feels normal until you remember it's not, or you wake up not feeling normal and then you do normal stuff. So like I said, I'm coping. I think it could have been a lot worse. I think I keep thinking of a lot of people who are not as lucky as I am. You know, I'm not by myself. I'm stuck in a flat with my lovely girlfriend, and we haven't killed each other yet. So that's a good thing. Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't prove it, but you'll never see it during this video. And then something like this happens every night. Since lockdown, Sea Point has been cheering and going crazy, and I thought it was a phase and it will kind of dissipate, but it's actually been louder every night and more boisterous every night. And that kind of just is a good reminder that everybody's in this together. And I'm a bit surprised by the general positivity, because look, if we want to moan, we can moan, and we've proven it a lot. And by we, I mean South Africans. And I don't see as much of that. I see it, but I tend to ignore it. And my unfriend button has been working overtime the last 2 weeks.
My unfriend button. You're noticing a lot more now on social media.
Yeah, I had no idea I knew so many people, and I don't want to just go call them stupid, but gullible and conspiracy theorists. Goeie, liewe, oppende. Fuck, it's crazy out there.
And what have you been doing to keep yourself sane? I mean, I know we were speaking off camera. You said that this is quite normal for you. So talk a bit about that, and what are you doing when you find yourself craving the stage?
Well, craving the stage is there. I miss performing in any way, shape, or form, stand up especially. I'm lucky in the sense that I do have a writing contract or two that I'm busy with, so I do have work. I do that. I do some voiceover work from home, so at least I haven't been 0% productive. And I think that's kind of doing that stuff has kind of also kept me going. Like, at least there's something to do. So when the worries take over about how am I going to get through May or through June or through the next 2 weeks of April, at least there's something. And I'm very, very grateful for those clients who are still sticking around, both of them.
Well, at least you're fortunate. Like you said, you still have a few clients and stuff. Just so you know that, like I told you, I'm gonna maybe just stop the conversation just to acknowledge some of the comments that come in. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're watching, don't be afraid to comment and ask us questions at any time. We'll try and get to them. And blessing Tendi Yongwana or Yongwe or. Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that so wrong. I'm terribly sorry. But I know your first name is Blessing. It's my first time joining your live show. Thank you, Blessing. Thank
How's
you
it,
so much.
Blessing? Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Keep on watching. Keep those questions coming in. If you have any questions for Melt, don't be shy. And that goes for everybody else that's watching. I see we have a few viewers, so keep those
Does
questions.
anybody know what Sunday night movie on Mnet we are competing with?
It's probably Easter themed. We know that. It's going to be Easter
Okay.
themed.
Mel Gibson's The Passion.
Or it's probably what's that movie, man, with the bunny? Man, it's
Space Jam.
okay, yeah, well, maybe that's not a bad. It was recent, and it's this little bunny rabbit, also lays eggs. Oh man, it was I can't remember it now. It doesn't matter.
No, I have no idea what
Hop, Hop. That's the
Hop.
one.
Oh,
Yes,
Hop,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay.
That's probably playing right now.
Probably. And I know Andrea Bocelli is doing a live performance in the empty cathedral. So thank you, whoever's watching this instead.
Oh man. Okay, so I also wanted to ask you this. I was talking to Frantrov and us last night, and he mentioned that you have been sorting yourself out with alcohol. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, I did not stock up on booze before lockdown. First of all, I think the government made a brutal error in only letting us know those rules 24 hours beforehand. We knew lockdown was coming for a good 3-4 days. People did their shopping, and that evening, that press conference, it was like parents who couldn't agree on the punishment for the kid. Like, yeah, you sent to his room, but he can't play PlayStation. No, why can't he play PlayStation? Because he's in his room and there's a PlayStation. No, he can't play. So that next day of panic buying booze, I think actually you'll never be able to trace it, but I think that day set us back in terms of contagion because people were just clamoring to get their booze. Well, I didn't. So I got 2 liter bottles of Italian wine from my local Woolworths was the last thing that they had. And there's still a bit of that left, but I decided to make pineapple beer, and it worked.
Yeah, how did it taste? Does it taste like pineapple? I think.
It tastes like pineapple, and because funny thing, if you make pineapple beer, the skin is the thing. It's not about the pineapple, the yellow flesh itself. You need to put the skins in. Because it's about sugar and carbs and the way they
Okay.
break down into alcohol. So there's more in the skin, and I think the skin also has a bit more flavor. Look,
Okay.
the skin has been exposed to the elements since
Yeah.
that little pineapple was born. So it's obviously the rugged part. But I was lucky enough to find some yeast, not brewer's yeast, normal baking yeast. So basic recipe is for every pineapple, 1 or 2 liters of water, 1 cup of sugar per liter of water, and then instant yeast all over it, and stir it twice a day, put it in a slightly warm place. And I made it last week. I made it on Sunday morning, and I had the first bit on Tuesday night, and we finished it today. So
Oh, okay.
it's got a kick, but I mean, it's got a kick like a Castle Light. It's not as if it's Mampuro or anything that's going to
Okay.
put you in your ass.
Mampur, that's moonshine, right?
Yeah, but with khaki clothing.
Khaki clothing. I like that. I've never heard it described that way. Do you know how to make mampur?
Mampur is more dangerous because you can poison yourself.
Okay. All right.
There's a methane and ethane, methanol and ethanol there where you have to. Nowadays, look, it's difficult. One has a lower boiling point than the other, so you can evaporate the bad one, I think, before you get to the good stuff. But in the olden days, I know the guys who did it with those big kettles. It was the color of the flame that it made when you chucked a drop of it in the fire. And I'm not sure. I think the bad stuff makes a blue flame, and once the flame starts going yellow, in Afrikaans it's called the voorloop. It's the first little bit of stuff that comes out when you distill it. And that can be poisonous and make you go blind or kill you.
Okay.
So the olden days, they judged it by the color of the flame it made. Nowadays, you get like thermometers and stuff. So, but I've never made moonshine, but my dad had a liquor store. So he provided empty bottles for all the tannies and ooms in the district who made Mampur. And I think just this year, I finished the last bottle of Mampur I inherited from him. So yeah, I know my Mampur and I appreciate it.
I don't think I've had mampur. I have tried moonshine. That thing burns. I don't know if it's the same. If it like it's just
Mampur is good. Have you ever had grappa?
yes. Yes, I have.
Mampoer is more grappa-ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I might like
It's strong,
it.
but it's not a drinking drink. You know, don't have double Mampoer on the rocks like or whatever that is you're having. You have a sip of it, and you
Just
can actually
frantically.
taste the notes of whatever fruit it was made from, like peaches or apricots or
Mm,
figs. Figs make awesome Mampoer.
really? Okay. I'll take your word for it. You seem to be the expert. Pineapple, Mampour, all that stuff. I think if things don't go well with the whole lockdown, maybe you can open up your own alcohol.
I'm already seeing the whole craft beer thing is going to have a couple of new contenders after this lockdown because people are getting incredibly creative.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be. Oh man, how cool would that be? Melt beer.
Single malt.
Yeah. Ah! I think that would be cool. All right, so let's talk a bit about you. I
Okay.
like to talk about my guests. I like to get to know them behind the mic. A lot of people know you from all your TV stuff, your voiceovers, even in comedy. So let's chat. Let's chat. I always like asking this question. Seeing it. Okay, first off, how long have you been a comedian?
A comedian since the 31st of May 2006, so 14 years.
14 years. All right.
In a month, it'll be 14 years.
Wow. Okay, cool. So now the question is this. How, so obviously the directing, the TV came first. So how did you get involved in that? How did that come along? And then follow up to that is tell us your journey to your first time on the comedy stage.
Okay, long story short, I studied drama, finished in 2001. I did my honors. So I did 4 years of doing the whole academic thing. And when I stepped out of varsity, I have two good friends who studied with me the same year, who are also in comedy at the moment. That's Monique Norkia and Hannes Brimmer. Um, I stayed around and did my honors, and Hannes and Monique both kind of went into the industry, and I would say they kind of picked up speed rather fast. And Hannes got amazing acting work, Monique did acting work and writing work, and I landed at a production house producing. We did two shows for CakeNet. One was an art show, and one was a normal magazine show, Kwela and Kunstcafé. So I landed there 2002 as a researcher. I mean, it was the only job around, so I immediately took it. And I kind of got stuck into that. Not in a bad way. I liked it. I liked production. Somebody taught me how to edit. I still learned how to edit on a DOS based program called DVision. Oh, this was 2002, so it was the really rich people might have had a Mac somewhere, but you still shot inserts on Betacam SP tapes. It was manual and for analog. Everything was analog, except for this one editing system. And then I started directing. So come 2005, I was a full-time director. I was also a presenter for the one show, and I did in-house voiceovers for all the shows. So it was different things, but all in one place. And then I got a job to do a 6-week engagement job, part in a sitcom. And I had to quit my full-time job. My boss was very angry. He still doesn't like me, but feelings very mutual, so that's okay. Um, and and then I started freelancing, but as a producer and an insert producer and director and stuff. And Hannes, end of 2005, he did a pantomime with Joey Rashdin, and Joey kept egging him on to do an open spot, to do stand up. And Hannes did stand up. I remember going to watch him one night at the underground Cool Runnings, and he was incredibly funny, and I was very sure I'll never be able to do that. And him and Monique were part of Joe Parker's improv show at what's that place? The concentration camp for clowns in the east of Joburg, Carnival City. And I remember going to watch them do improv there, and I really thought I'll never be able to do that. I was jealous, and like jealous in a sad way. Like when you're watching a show or something, I'm sure I can do that, but I probably can't.
Mm.
And then in May the next year, I did 2 days on a horrible TV show. It was a telenovela by Willie Estreisen. I
Wow.
can't remember the name. Begeertes. It's
Begeertes.
the first and only time in my life that I'd ever worked on anything where you got paid per word.
Per word. Wow.
Yeah, and if you ad lib, Willie will make a point of telling you, I'm not paying extra. And one of the guys who worked with me there did a charity evening or something where they wanted to do some stand-up, some Afrikaanse stand-up.
Okay.
And would I mind doing something? So I was like, okay. I really had no aspirations at this point to become a comedian. But he did this evening. He got on stage. His version of stand-up was doing a Rowan Atkinson sketch that he translated into Afrikaans. It was very funny, but it wasn't necessarily stand-up. And I guess I had 5 minutes, and I think I did 10. I just started talking, and that wasn't really a set. It was built-up banter that I had on hand. Talking like jokes I would have made around the braai. Like people always go, "Oh, you're funny." But there was something in that, and I just loved that moment. It was in Afrikaans, so it flowed very well, and I loved it. And something happened there that night, but I just kind of clicked that this is what I really want to do.
Nice.
So it became another element of what I did, and as time went by, that became my main focus, and I'm still very, very surprised and grateful that it happened the way it did. So I wasn't planning on becoming a comedian. I think when I was a kid, I was a Casper de Vries fanatic. I'm a Pieter Dirk Uys fan. I love comedy, and I thought I wanted to do that. And then I went to study drama, and I got kind of exposed to the deeper side and, like real actors and method and stuff. And I think I kind of lost, I didn't want to say self-confidence, but there's somewhere I decided that I'm not a good performer. And so 5-6 years later, when I did that one evening of stand-up, that performing thing kicked in again, and it became my main focus.
Yeah, but that's a really awesome story. So you accidentally, in a way, fell into it, which is fantastic.
I think, well, look, after that, then I had to focus and concentrate and make it happen. But when it happened that first time, I think that's why I've still never been able to equal the feeling I had that first night. Because nothing good smoke machine there in the background. Nothing I did was planned. It wasn't as now where I can go, oh, I can do that joke or I can do that joke. Nothing was labeled. And I've never had, I probably haven't been as honest ever again on a stage in my life. Not in a bad way, but there was nothing contrived there. Everything just flowed. And I think that's kind of the flow that I've been chasing since then.
Well, I think like also because you weren't prepared, kind of thrown into the deep end, you were real. It was you.
Yeah.
It was complete vulnerable.
That honesty, I know what that honesty feels like. Yeah. So that is what I know I should aspire to when I'm working.
Yeah.
That's when that doesn't happen often, but every now and then when I do a gig and it's a tough crowd and it's a tough gig and I just ramble through the jokes, afterwards, it's not like chastising myself, but you're like, that was just doing a job. That was not passionate at all.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like a fake when you do that.
Yeah. But you've had a few one-man shows and stuff like that. Tell us about how those, what were you talking about in those one-man shows, and where can people actually go? Do you have anything recent that people can go watch? Nothing
recent. I think Comedy Central has something of mine on because they just do what they want with anything. But what I'm going to do is sometime next week, I'm going to upload my 2012 one-man show recording. I'm just going to upload. So you heard it here first. I'll be uploading my debut one-man show for free online for people to stream during this horrible time.
Please send me the link to it, and I can add it to the description below.
I will.
Yeah, on the YouTube video, because then if people happen to watch this during the lockdown, they can go watch it as well. When you said in a week?
During this week. I'll probably do it around Thursday.
All right, cool. Well, if you're watching this in the future, go check it out at the bottom. What's it called?
It's the 100% full room melt. It's the one and only one-man show I ever recorded. It was recorded at the Atterbury Theatre in November 2012. So it's 8 years old. Got very long hair.
Yes, I remember that long hair.
There are still jokes in that about Oscar Pistorius being a nice guy. So that's how old that is.
Yeah, okay. That's going to be an interesting... a blast from the past there.
Yeah, I had to use the word blast there.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes I don't think before I talk.
Funny, same thing that he did. Sorry. No. Toef, toef, toef. Wie is daar? No, other way around, Oscar.
Sorry, man. What is it? Sorry. What did you
Yeah.
say? I don't know.
No. Next.
Next. Cool. So you were a director first. That's what you kind
Insert
of.
director, yes.
Yes.
Like 5 minute, 6 minute Quella inserts. Take a cameraman and a presenter and go to somebody's house who just won some award or played for some team or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like it was like low key top billing.
And do you prefer, because you do your stand-up comedy in Afrikaans and in English? Do you prefer either language?
I work in English way more because there's more work in English. And I mean, obviously your audience is much bigger the minute you work in English. But it's always fun in Afrikaans. I mean, it's like I do not use Afrikaans as a genre. I mean, it's like Afrikaanse musiek. Afrikaanse musiek is not something. It's music that happens to be Afrikaans. You can't group it all as a genre. So the same, I think, with comedy. I do comedy 80% of the time I do it in English, 20% of the time I do it in Afrikaans. Obviously, when I do it in Afrikaans, I have to worry less about stuff like using the correct tenses, and my grasp of the language is bigger, so I can. It's a different feeling when working in Afrikaans, but I can't say I've got a preference, eh?
All right. Well, I want to ask you a few, let's say, okay, basically I was on, I Googled you, and I saw a Wikipedia page of you. So
Yes.
we're gonna cross-reference this Wikipedia page and see if the information there is fact. Because sometimes Wikipedia is wrong.
Oh, I know of one thing in there that is going to be very funny, but I'll leave it until we get
we'll
to
get
that.
there. All right, cool. So the first thing it says on Wikipedia, and we can talk about this as we go along, if you want to elaborate more on what they're saying. So it says the first sentence is literally: Melt Sieberhagen is a South African actor and comic, and was born in Ventersdorp.
That's correct.
That is correct. Where is
All correct.
Ventersdorp?
Ventersdorp is 140 kilometers west of Joburg, in the Northwest Province. If Potchefstroom and Klerksdorp are the two bottom corners of a triangle, Ventersdorp is the top. And that's about the only time you'll use the words Ventersdorp and top in the same sentence.
So it's like is it a small town? Is it what?
Small town, yeah. We were 300 kids in school in my matric year, in the high school.
Wow.
It's an infamous place because Eugene Terblanche used to be the leader of the RVB, lived there. So the town has got a pretty shitty reputation thanks to that. But it's also the birthplace of Itumeleng Kune, the Bafana captain. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. And then one of the sentences is that you obtained a BA in drama from the University of Pretoria in 2001.
That's correct.
Okay. A BA in drama. I didn't even know you could do that.
No, it's a Bachelor of Arts. What did you think you do in drama? A BCom?
I have a BTech.
Oh, but that's the when the tech still couldn't get the accreditation to do it's the same degree, it's a different name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You starred in numerous South African soaps as well as Afrikaans comic sketch program Complex 2.
Well, Complex, yes, that was actually I was a bit player in that. It's my friend Hannes again, and his chommies Tian Rautenbach and Marilee and Niels Klaassen. They had a stage show called Zef Sketches that became the TV show Complex. And with the second Complex, I helped a bit with the writing and did 1 or 2 parts. But yeah, I was a guest on that. That wasn't. I would love to claim any ownership on Complex because it was fantastic, but that's not mine.
Right. Yeah. Well, it says you starred in numerous South African soapies. Yeah, and then so it's a bit misworded, but it's still.
No, I was in all of them, hey?
Yeah.
I was in Orly twice. I was in Sevendelaan 3 times. It's 3 different people. I was even I was a hypnotist in Isidinka, and I was.
Wait, did you say? Did you say 3 different people?
Yeah, if there's one actor that does not look different every time he's it's on screen, it's me. But in Sevendelaan, I was in 2005. 4 or 5 or something, I was a photographer. In 2008, I had a whole storyline as a perlemoen poacher. And in 2013, I went back as a hostage negotiator.
Okay. Well, maybe it's the same character. You just kind of,
I've got a backstory. It is the
Yeah.
same guy, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you started, and yeah, we spoke about that. You also, I think you mentioned this. He is also part of the permanent cast of. Oh man, I can't pronounce this.
Oh, yeah, this is a difficult one, eh?
Bruce Strott.
Bruce Straat.
Yeah.
Yes, that was. I guess that's as close to a big break as it gets. Um, it's a German concept. It's a German improv show called Schillerstraße,
Wow.
which was, yeah, because Germans and comedy, it's like first thing you think of when you think German. Um, as the producer Harald Richter, he's a German dude. He convinced Kyknet to give the show a go. It's an improv show that you do with a little earpiece. It looks like a normal sitcom set. It's somebody's living room.
Mm-hmm.
And you just play a character called Melt. We used our own names, which I think is one of the best things they could have done, because I never had the problem of, kyk, dis Frikkie van Sewende Laan.
Yeah.
It's always been my name, which is great. And Kyknet took the chance. They brought I think it was incredibly expensive to produce, because it's a German show. They had to do it under license. And we did more than 100 episodes.
Nice.
You wear a little earpiece and you get your commands in your ear, and the other people don't know what's going on, but the audience sees it on screen. It was really a very cool concept, and it worked very well. It took the public a while to warm up to it, but like I say, we did 8 seasons. By the 8th season, we had a decent following.
Nice. And when did that start? What year?
That started. We recorded the first one in 2009 and the last one in 2014. So that was 5 years.
Okay. And that what does that word actually mean in English?
Proes is a Dutch surname, and the street in Pretoria, Proesstraat, is named after the first Attorney General of the old South African Republic.
Wow.
The Transvaal Republic. So, but now you get to the meta. Proes is also it's when you not chuckle, almost chortle, if you've got a mouthful of cool drink or beer, whatever, and you laugh,
Yes.
and that's proes. So proes is a way of laughing.
Okay, so almost like laughter street or something.
Yes, it's like laughter street, but because if you take the R out, it's a very bad Afrikaans swear word. That's I think the actual reason why people found it funny.
Yeah, well, I was struggling.
If you take the
to
R
read
out, it's proestaat.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So also what they say here is television commercials. You've done television commercials for Celsi. Is that correct?
That was my first commercial ever, 2007. Yes.
What did you do?
I was a guy in a bakkie who answered the phone and went, "Hello," and that was it.
All right. Tops at Spar.
Tops at Spa was, again, I think that's one of the most successful ad. It was when they just changed the rugby rules that before a scrum, you had to go crouch, touch, pause, engage. And it was in 2007 also, before the World Cup rugby. So we were 3 guys watching TV doing the whole crouch, touch, pause, engage thing with beers.
And that was in 2007.
Yeah, for the World Cup rugby. And I think that ad ran for a good 4 years.
Yeah, I think I saw it.
Yeah.
I never clicked. BioPlus?
Yes, that's the one that I don't know. I know I did a BioPlus ad, but I was an extra.
Okay.
I don't know. Whoever made that Wikipedia page probably got a CV from my agent or something, because that does not belong there at all.
Okay. McCarthy, Call a Car.
Same thing. Extra, don't know why it's on there.
Wimpy?
Never broadcast. You see, this is definitely, that list was made with the CV that I got from my agent.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I've done much better ads. If you ever feel like it, Google the words muscle milk.
Muscle milk.
And, oh God, what's the guy's name? It's a American basketball star, man. Steph Curry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you Google muscle milk Steph Curry, the ad is called Strong Feels Good. Mm-hmm. You'll see me in that ad. That's my best ad, I think, that I've done since I've been in Cape Town. Apart from one for Ryobi. I'll send you those links as well. You can just
Yeah,
all pop them
we'll
into
put
the
them. Yeah.
bio. Yeah. Anybody watches this one day and goes, I know I haven't seen that face before.
And then they say here your film appearances. So let's see how they got this one. First one is, I think this is Afrikaans. Superhelden.
Superhelden. It's Afrikaans for superheroes.
Oh wow, were you a superhero?
No, I was a comic book shop owner.
Okay, I can see.
Who had a penchant for walking around naked in his shop.
Oh my word! Is it weird that I want to see it now?
Yes, very. What's the opposite of full frontal nudity? Full ass nudity? That's what I did in them, yes.
No, man.
Yes, and I clambered up
Did you
the
have
side of a building in a Spider-Man outfit.
Did you have the long hair at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, big fat guy with a ponytail. How else do you think I played the comic book shop owner?
What was so? Okay, so were you an aspiring superhero in that movie? Just give us like a small synopsis.
No, it's a story about a bunch of kids. Basically, the comic book store where they all hang out is kind of their little safe space. And an evil developer wants to demolish the building where the comic book shop is. And my entire life is in the comic book shop. So no, nobody has superpowers except for here in their hearts. You know, that kind of story.
Nice, feel good, warm story.
Yes.
Okay, I was very curious about this one, if it's true. No disrespect here at all. I've watched this movie plenty of times, and I do not, for the life of me, remember seeing you in there. District 9.
Watch it again. I'm there.
But where? Wait, in the office.
When Vickers is running away from the cops, when Vickers is when he's at large, when they're looking for Vickers, there's one clip where they speak to different people about Vickers, and I have one line, and it goes,
Yes, I remember.
"You tried to call me."
Yes. Oh my word, that is you. Cool.
But that whole movie is littered with South African comedians, eh?
Yes, I noticed.
Vittorio Leonardi is in it.
Yes.
Stella Douglas is in it. Kagiso
That one.
Liga is in it.
Yes.
There's some great bonus footage on the DVD with Chris Forrest in it. It's because one of our friends, Denton Douglas, he got to do the casting. So
Nice. Okay. Cool.
My District 9 story is very funny. I wasn't even part of principal photography.
Really?
Because what's the Lord of the Rings guy's name? Peter Jackson.
Yes.
He reinvested money in the movie. So while they shot District 9 the first time, it was called Project X, by the way. Nobody knew what we were working on. It was actually, if you've got time, to quickly tell you a story about it. In 2006, I went for an audition for Neil Blomkamp. Everybody in Joburg, taller than 1.85 meters, went for that audition because their initial idea was casting humans as the aliens. So I remember going to that audition somewhere in a hotel room in Sandton. And like I said, that was 2006, and they only shot the movie in 2008. So I remember the audition, but I forgot about it then. Then they were shooting this thing called Project X. A couple of people were in it. I wasn't. I was actually in the States that year, 2008, while they were shooting it. I was over for a friend's wedding and visiting. And when I came back, I just heard about this movie that almost everybody had been in, and I was kind of miffed about it. And then come December, I got a call from my agent. It's like, they need you for 3 days on this project. Because what happened is Peter Jackson saw the first cut of the movie. And because he was investing, he had a truckload of changes that needed to be made. So I was just there for the reshoots, which is kind of cool because the minute you are there for a reshoot, your chances of ending up in the final movie is a lot better than just being part of principal photography.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was there. Yeah, you see me at his burst. You see me once in his office when he gets promoted. I'm sitting there next to Vittorio.
Yes, that's the one I remember.
And when he gets sick at the house party and throws up the black bile, I'm there with my little party hat on. And the best thing about District 9 was it got nominated for Oscar.
Yes, it did.
And that next year, 2009, 2009. What was it? No, 2000. It was released in 2009, so it was the 2010 Oscars, February. I was watching the Oscars, and the clip that they showed at the Oscars from District 9 had me in it.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. But I still revel in the idea of all those people that I've been watching on screens my entire life. They didn't know it, but for 1 second, they were all watching me.
Yeah, I would feel the same way, my friend. I would feel exactly the same way. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Even if it's your little secret, it's awesome.
Yeah, I always wanted to be at the Oscars, and technically I was, so I'll take it.
This is actually very interesting now because okay, so I think when did District 9 come out again?
2009.
Yeah, I had just started comedy. I had like just started. Like maybe I 2 years in or something, 3 years. And I watched that movie. I love that movie. Like I really, really liked that movie because it was different. Aliens coming over Johannesburg, not America anymore, and just the whole premise and everything about the movie was amazing. I really like Shalto. Um, he was a kind of newbie, at least for me. I've never seen him before in anything,
Mm.
and I thought his acting was brilliant. Now, what irritated me most about the reaction to District 9 is South Africa's reaction to District 9. Because there was a lot of negativity around it. There was a lot of people saying, it's cock. Oh, it's South African, it's going to be cock. But what people don't actually know is that it was number one in the box office for 4 weeks in the US.
It was, but I mean, it was a hit all over the world.
And yet South
But the
Africans
thing
have a
is,
problem with it. I don't understand.
you can call District 9 a lot of things, but calling it a South African movie is pushing it.
That's, yeah,
The minute
okay.
a movie gets made with 30 million American dollar, it is not a South African movie. We don't even make movies with 30 million rand. Um, it was made here. There was a lot of South African crew, and there's a lot of us in it. Yes, I
Yeah,
get all of that.
yeah.
But it's like I'm trying to think of a silly. It's like calling The Passion of the Christ an Israeli movie because it takes place in Israel. It was done with Peter Jackson's money by a guy who'd been living in the States for 10 years. It was done here, and it was done very well, and the South Africans who worked on it did a great job.
Yes.
But it had that one thing behind it that local productions don't usually have, and that's money. And I'm very proud of it still. Please don't, I'm not knocking it at all. And anybody who knocked it back then, who cares?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
nominated for Oscar.
Exactly.
But
That's
it's weird, man. On set, Shalto's accent. I was one of those people going, "What the fuck is hierdie ou besig om te doen?" That's the worst attempt at an Afrikaans accent I've heard in my life. It's caricature. And in the minute I watched it on screen, it was like, wow, that's fantastic.
no, his performance was great. That's the thing. Like, oh man, but that okay. So maybe South Africa just tried to do a bit of propaganda in terms of like because when I saw the DVD and music and stuff, it said that little sticker, proudly South African. So I don't
Well,
know.
no, look, claim it. If you have to claim it,
Yeah.
claim it. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think it proved what could be done here. Because, I mean, it was
Yes.
done by a South African. But don't forget that he did it in an American way. I mean, the fact that they had money to do 2 weeks of reshoots with armored vehicles and stuff. I mean, there's more money went into those 2 weeks of reshoots than goes into an entire year of South African local filmmaking. But it was worth it. It was a good product.
Yeah, it was, and I'll flip, man. Like I said, for me, I was arguing with South Africans that said it was caca or that they didn't like it. So and that's the thing. This is the other thing. As a general note, if you judge a movie before you've even seen it, that really pisses me off because a lot of South Africans, when I spoke to them, I was like, "Hey, did you see 369?" No, it's South African. I'm not going to watch. It's going to be cut. I'm like,
Yeah.
but how can you knock it unless you've watched it? Like just like people who say, "Oh, I don't like Star Wars." Have you seen it? No. Well, no, you can't say that. You can't have an opinion on something if you haven't experienced it, and
Yeah,
that
sure. You
annoyed
can
me.
say you don't want to see it. You can say that you're not interested. That's fine. But
Yeah.
but I mean, again, that's not even a South African thing. That's a human thing. We tend to We tend to make up for our ignorance with incredible ignorance with my attitude. See, 40 minutes into the interview and my English airtime is done.
Oh man. Okay, well let's get back to this list. Oh
There's more.
my word! I think Rob Van Buren was in this. Foot
Which one?
skating.
Foot Skating 101.
Yeah, foot skating 101.
Yes, that was produced by the very Ronnie Apteker with Brendan Jack, Rob van Vieren,
Yes.
Garth Breitenbach. There's a lot of guys. Yeah, that was Kagiso is in that as well. That was just fun. That was in terms of budget the total opposite of District 9, but in terms of heart, as much. I mean, it was. I saw the final movie. It was more like a very long, funny music video
Yeah.
than a. But it was still. I loved. I still now. I love seeing it, even when I cringe a bit. But it was fun.
Well, I hear a lot of people who are fans of you and Rob and those guys. They're like, oh yeah, foot skating 101. You gotta watch it. It's so funny.
It was the second movie out of the Crazy Monkey guys. The Crazy Monkey movie did very well, and then that one did not so well. But it was so much fun to be in.
And then you have I don't know if I can pronounce it.
Puna is Koning.
Yes. Oh, damn, you get. Yeah. What is that? I've heard so many people speak about it.
You can't be South African if you haven't watched that yet.
Oh man. Well,
There are
what
two
is it?
movies, Joe. I'll come and watch them with you if I need to translate. But
Okay.
Puna is Koning
Okay.
and Lipstick Dipstick
I haven't seen
are
it.
two of the funniest Afrikaans movies ever. I'm not saying they're classy, because they're not, but they are funny.
Is it like Bachat?
It's even less story than Bakgat, less character development, more poepgrappies. It's just basic funny. I think Lipstick Dipstick is much better than Puna is Koning, but that's an argument that I've had with some people.
Okay.
Puna is Koning is Robbie Wessels, the guy who did the Leeuwloop. I don't know. When did you arrive in South Africa?
I arrived in South Africa in 2007, but I still don't
No,
know
you
a
missed.
lot.
That was 2007. I think that was released. So you would have missed, because the Leeuwloop was Robbie's big breakout song, and then Vodacom bought it and used it for the Super Rugby stuff. So it's literally a movie that came in on the back of a hit song.
Okay. All right.
And it was funny, but like I say, it's still not. Lipstick Dipstick is just up that bit more than Puna is Koning, in my humble opinion.
Okay. And then you were in. This is the last one on the list. Oh shucks, I'm hotful.
Oh, that was That was my first feature film I was ever in. Was a Leon Schuster movie in 2003.
I believe I've seen most of Leon Schuster.
It's the one where Leon and little Alfred, the small guy, they go to Australia, and while they're on the plane, they watch the rough cut of his latest movie, and everybody gets so teary-eyed and sentimental that they force the plane to turn around. I make an appearance on the movie that they watch as the director of Leon's movie.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember now. I remember that. Yeah. See, this is so crazy for me because I've actually seen you. Like I said, now I came to South Africa in 2007, but I didn't know everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't remember the guy who served the coffee in minute 17 of
That's also true.
Everybody Knows I Love You.
Yeah, but if I watch a movie now, even if you're only featured for 10 seconds or whatever, I'm going to recognize you. I think there was something
for sure
recently where I recognized you. And I didn't know you were in it. It was that Ralph and Furin movie that's on Netflix, man.
That was the Fun of Madhavan movie.
Yes, that one, yeah. I didn't know you were in that movie, and then you popped out. And
I forgot about it until you mentioned it now, so...
Well, I think it's okay. It's another heartfelt, good...
No, yeah, I'm not gonna. It's definitely no Puna is Koning or Lipstick Dipstick or Bakgat, but it sure is a movie.
I would say it's a cute movie.
Yeah, my first day on set, I had to watch Rob get covered in fake cow poo, so that did kind of set the tone for the movie for me.
Well, I guess you're not gonna add that to the Wikipedia page.
Can I edit that? That page must be like 10 years old. Can I edit my own page or do I pay somebody to do it?
Honestly, I don't know. You'd have to speak to whoever made it. I really don't know. I think Wikipedia is a place where anyone can go in and edit. So
Yeah.
you just need to make an account, I think. But yeah, you can definitely edit that, no
Oh,
problem.
and then I can go and like mess around on other people's pages and like,
That's the thing. A lot of people say like, oh, you can do that. And that's why they say Wikipedia isn't a reliable source because people can go in and edit. At least that's what I heard. I remember in college we weren't allowed to use Wikipedia as a reference. So
I still think you're not allowed to, hey? But
yeah.
the cool thing about Wikipedia, though, is if you want to use it as a tool, at the bottom of any proper article on Wikipedia, anything that gets said must be cited, and there's a cross-reference list at the bottom.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
yeah.
Norman Leslie from Facebook
Hello,
says,
Norman.
"Hello, Norman. Thank you for watching. Keep watching." Says, "What about Afrikaans again? Kalgat tussen die daisies."
Daisy. No,
Yeah.
I wasn't in that. Thank you. I'm not that old. Kalgat tussen die Daisies was a movie I think in the 90s. Frank Opperman, if I'm not mistaken, and a bit of Tolle van der Merwe, but it is a very funny movie. Oh, that's what he means. Yes, no. I will put Lipstick Dipstick and I'll put Kalgat tussen die Daisies and Puna's Koning on the same level. But I remember that was very funny.
All right. So is that a movie I should also watch?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Cool. I will.
I think it might even be on Showmax, eh?
Really? Okay. Cool. Well, then that's easy. You don't have anything on Showmax that people can watch?
I do. There's a comedy special with me and Hannes and Skalk.
Nice.
That's a very lekker one.
What's it called?
Fuck, ek weet nie. If I bet you if you type the word Sieberhagen into Showmax, you'll get it's like the only thing you get. Something that if anybody's going to watch anything on Showmax, I will seriously recommend Die Spreeuws.
Okay, what's that?
You can enjoy it as well. It's like an X-Files vibe in Afrikaans with subtitles and everything.
Okay.
That's the last thing I did. And I must admit, there's a show coming up now sometime. It's starting on Kyknet called Fynskrif, which is Kyknet's first legal drama, and it's doing very well. And I had a small part in that, I think around about episode 7 or 8 that features. And that was one of the most amazing things in a long while to do. Small part, only a couple of scenes, but a real dramatic performance as opposed to, because I'm used to being just making gat of myself and so it's nice now and then to get like a serious part. And the one that I did in Die Spreeuws, it was funny, but in Fynskrif it was rather serious, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
That's awesome. Okay, so we can still see you on our screens even throughout the lockdown. Hopefully, that's going to be cool. All right, so I wanted to ask you: do you know Barry Hilton personally?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you guys have met. Have you performed together before?
We've met, we've performed together, and a year or so ago we worked together on a corporate job for a company where we did a lot. We spent a lot of time together writing the thing and performing it and traveling around. So I've spent some time with Barry. Yes.
What was it like writing with him?
Lekker. That's what I like it when I feel like I'm bringing something to the party. And Barry Hilton is flippin' Barry Hilton. I mean, nobody is better at being Barry than Barry. But that's what he does. It was lucky. I really enjoyed being able to be the guy to bring structure to his ideas. Take his crazy, and because I mean, you're working for a corporate client, so we were. What was it? It was Hill's Pet Nutrition. It was a road show. So obviously they're getting Barry Hilton, so they're investing a lot in the show. And I still do. I find Barry incredibly funny guy to work with, and a funny guy to be with and to work with. He's easy. He's not precious about jokes or being the star or anything. He works with you and he gives and takes as some of the other best comics I've worked with. So that's something I'm very lucky to have done. And then afterwards, we're still in contact now and then. Of course, I write as well. Every now and then I get a phone call. It's like, how would you say this? Or how would you say that?
You do a very good impression. That's super cool, though. I've met Barry once. Very lucky. again, when I came to South Africa in 2007, I think a year later, my cousin told me, like, because I said, like, oh, I love stand up since I was 13 years old. But my cousin was like, oh, our best comedian is Barry Hilton. You got to watch him. And because I was new, I didn't understand anything because it's all South African.
I guess all the references just went.
I mean, I could see he was funny. I mean, I could see he's
Yes.
like on TV. He's made specials. People love him. I know that. But now I remember watching him after I started to embrace the culture and know more about South Africa. Then I watched him, I think, about 2 years after that, and I loved him. He's a super funny guy, and I got to meet him, which was great. One thing I really love about our industry is we do get to meet the people we look up to, you know.
Oh yes.
And I've got a comment here from, interesting name, Dr. Killer ZA, from YouTube. I'm so going to. All right. Okay.
Skerp Skert.
Yeah, is the stand-up comedy show. Is the stand-up. I don't know what.
Oh, thank you. That's the one on Showmax. If you
Oh,
want to go
okay.
check the show on Showmax, it's called Skerp Skerts. SKERP. SKERTS.
Yes, he's written in here.
Thanks, Dr. Killer ZA.
He's killing. He's killing.
Like our own Dr. Kevolkian.
Thank you so much for watching, man. Please subscribe. So okay, because I wanted to ask about Barry because I think I had a feeling that you two worked together, and then that leads me into this follow-up question of: is there a comedian that you still aspire or draw inspiration from?
Locally, yes.
Yeah, any international or local.
Look, there's been a lot of people. The minute I start thinking about it, the list kind of grows in my head. What I said initially, as a kid, Casper de Vries influenced me incredibly. I was in standard 5, it's at grade 7, in 1992, when my folks took me to Joburg, because my folks took me to the theater in Joburg about once every 3-4 months from our little klein dorpie, which I will be eternally grateful for. I think they might be regretting it because it turned me into this. But I saw Casper in 92 and again in 94. And then while I studied, I went and watched his shows. Casper has been an enormous influence on my appreciation of local comedy. Pieter Dirk Uys almost more so and earlier, but Casper definitely the most. I saw the most of him. And he made me realize that you can be funny in Afrikaans without being Pieter Dirk Uys, putting on the wig and the mask and going into full character and satire. Just lekker grappies in Afrikaans. International comedians I've just always enjoyed are people like Bill Bailey and Dylan Moran and Eddie Izzard. And then when I started working, people like John Vlismus, Chris Forrest, Mel Miller, Kagiso Lediga, and then, like I say, the minute I start talking, even now, I'm amazed at what somebody like Conrad Koch does. The way he's taken comedy and he combined it with his studies, and it's become not just social commentary; it's become kind of a social project. And if I look at the movies that Kagiso Lediga is making, that blows me away. If I look at how very good Loyiso Gola is doing overseas, I mean, it sounds kind of condescending to go, I'm so proud of him. It's like I've got any part in that my success. But I love young comics. I love seeing, since I've moved to Cape Town a couple of years ago, seeing comics here that I wouldn't have seen if I stayed in Joburg. It's a big scene. So I would say I draw inspiration from life, but I get my motivation from comedians, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we've had this conversation. You know, I'm incredibly careful when it comes to watching comedy, because you're a sponge. You take in so much, and then one day, 5 years later, you're on stage and you say something and you think, oh, I just made the most brilliant grappie. And then somebody comes and goes, "Daar is John Vlismus se grappie." So I'm careful when it comes to. Oh, and I really do admire Skalk Besaidnout as well. Yeah. The way Skalk came in and took off, it's amazing. And being able to see the fallout of Skalk's meteoric rise to fame, has made more people watch comedy. I mean, we would not have had a show called Skerpskerts on Showmax if it wasn't for Skulk in it.
Oh, really?
So I mean, that kind of, well, maybe we would have, but that obviously that sells it much more than myself or Hannes would sell it, because Skulk is just, he brought this young wave of fandom with him, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
people my age are maar fucking vol kak partykeer, hoor. Snap jy?
No, it's true. Skulk has done quite very very well for himself. I love what he's doing on Facebook. Every day he's uploading
Oh yeah.
an update on day this, day that, and it's super funny. He rants a little bit as well, which also is funny. And yeah, so your let's see. Sorry, I gotta go through. I'm losing my spot here. Okay, so I always like to ask this question as well to because I can see we're almost finished, and I like to ask this question to the comedians, and I think for a man in your position, this is going to be a very interesting one. So, your most memorable gig of your comedy career or TV, whichever one's easier for you, or you can really find one, and then the opposite of that, the worst nightmare thing you've ever done in your career. Like, tell
The
us the
worst one
story.
is easy to remember because it was early on. Like I said, I started out in Afrikaans and I did a couple of Afrikaans gigs here and there, but there is still not really an Afrikaans circuit. So to get into the comedy circuit, you had to do the English circuit. And way back then, 2006, Joburg, that meant going to do an open spot for Joe Parker at Carnival City and doing it in English. So I've had by that time 3 or 4 lekker Afrikaanse gigs, and I was pretty windgat and I could do this. So why not do it in English? And everything went wrong. I entered stage from the wrong side and stumbled over Joe's guitar. Joe Parker, he finished the evening with a song, and his guitar was so out of tune. So I got a final callback uitkak about that when he played his song. But everything, I fell over the guitar. I fucked up my tenses. My jokes fell flat. It was like this now. It was like blah, 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 blah. I remember. I'll never forget that. That was awful. That was really just awful. But
And
when it comes to favorite gigs, Joe, it's difficult, man. It's when a gig works. It's like that evening I did a gig for you last year in a place that's actually a guest house, but they've got a little restaurant.
neighborhood cafe.
Neighborhood cafe. Um, didn't know what to expect, and there was this surprise crowd,
Yeah.
and they were lovely.
Yeah.
So a gig like that for 60 people that goes well. To me, it's the same adrenaline rush as doing the Kings and Queens of Comedy show in Menlyn Main Arena for 2,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, those gigs, the big gigs, the heavyweight comedy jams that I've done, and those that Kings and Queens, those gigs have got something special because it's an arena. And doing the Lekker Lag for the Cape Town Comedy Club here in Grand West a year and a half ago, it's incomparable because that's a different feeling. You're on that massive stage and it just blows over you. But every gig that goes well. Last year when I did in the middle of the Free State for 300 Afrikaans ooms, I was there for 2 hours on that stage. And I was terrified because this liberal from Cape Town is not their cup of tea, but I was, and it worked.
Nice.
So any gig that goes well is a good gig.
Yeah, but isn't there a gig that just really stands out for you? Like that really. Okay,
That
let's.
first one, hey? That first one still. The surprise that overtook me about how good this is going.
No, okay.
The first time and every time that I got to host at the Underground for when John Vlismus wasn't there. But it's like half hosting that amazing room and the other half being entrusted with John Vlismus's gig, you know.
Yes.
So it's really difficult. The highlights, like I say, different gigs are highlights for different reasons. I'll be very hard pressed to single out one gig ever.
Okay. Well, look, you are a super funny guy, I think. I've always been a huge fan of you, even though, we've done a lot of gigs together. A lot. We've done a lot of gigs together. And every time I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to watch you. I laugh. I may know your set, but I'd laugh every time because I think you're super, super funny. Um, I have to address this before you go because I think that if I don't, people are probably asking at home, uh, what is going on behind you?
It's a color palette. It's a Pantone color chart
Oh, okay, yes, I
that
see the
my
numbers now.
girlfriend painted. Like you can see, it's all the different shades of green.
Uh-huh.
Which, if I were to show you the rest of the flat, which I can't do now because there are naked people in it, not really. But that's also the color scheme in our living room.
Okay, but
So it's decorative.
okay, so it is decorative. It's not like you guys are planning. It's not for like a project or something.
No, no, this is the end of the project.
Oh, okay, cool. That's interesting. Very interesting. Your girlfriend's an artist, I'm guessing.
Amongst other things, she works in costume on set, and she's got a brand called Mimi Bird. So please, if you're watching, go and buy a T-shirt from Mimi Bird. We need to eat.
Give me a link again. I'll put it in the description.
I'll throw that your way.
Okay, cool. I look. We're approaching the. We've
No,
hit
we
one
are.
hour. I would like to thank everybody that commented tonight and those that are watching. Thank you so much. Melt, what I usually do with my guests is I give them a chance to say any final words. So, do you have anything to say to our audience?
Just thanks for watching. Norman, Dr. Killer Za, still worried about that.
Blessing.
My mother, everybody who tuned in.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in and keep on tuning in to this channel and to others. We're in a strange time. We keep saying it, but I don't think we realize how strange.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to need your support. I feel very cock going. Please support artists because we're going through a tough time. Everybody's going through a horrible time. So don't just support artists, support people, and don't just support them. Support them. We're gonna. It's gonna take a bit of rebuilding to get all of this behind us. So thanks for being good people. And if you're not a good person,
All right, Melt. Please stay on the line. I'm gonna chat to you after I sign off here. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll be
thank
back.
you, Joe, and thanks for what you're doing. It's fun.
Always, man. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that was Melt Sieberhagen. I love the guy so much. I really do. I'm not just saying that because he was on my show right now. I really, really love this man. So nice, so down to earth, always willing to give great advice. I did have more questions, but I don't want to take up anyone's more time. I know it's Easter evening, but I will have him back on the show. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that I am accepting donations. 75% of the proceeds will go to Melt, 75% of the proceeds will go to Melt, 25% will go to me. The link in the description below on YouTube. That channel or that link will stay open until 11:30 tonight on the 12th of April. So if anybody's watching this after the fact, after we're done live streaming, you can still donate up until 11 o'clock, 11:30 on the 12th of April. So please consider it. And then I will be live streaming tomorrow twice. 1 p.m. we'll have Sophie Jones talking about some interesting things that she's doing for the comedians during this lockdown, as well as we're going to be talking to actor and comedian Dylan Skews, ladies and gentlemen, who's a super funny guy as well. So please tune into that tomorrow. I'm going to be here. And like Melt said, even if you don't want to support with money, that's fine. But do think about giving this channel a subscribe, please. It would greatly be appreciated, and a like. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and everyone who gave a comment tonight. I'll see you at the next one. Cheers and good night.